You are listening to Single Smart Female. This is Jen, explaining the possibilities in your love life and examining your mantourage dating experiences. I am here to help you do life and love on your terms by tipping the scales of love permanently in your favor. So don't forget to text this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends, and let's get started. Hello there, single smart female. It is Jen, your romantic fairy godmama, coming to you today with a single smart female listener question. This listener question comes from Miss Can We Pick Up Where Things Left Off? All the way from New Mexico. And Miss Can We Pick Up Where Things Left Off writes, Dear Jen, one man in my entourage who I've been dating for 3 months stepped up in a huge way when a tragic event, when my best friend's 1-year-old daughter passed away, happened in my life. In response to his offer, I asked for a logistical favor, which he did, and more, and I felt so cared for. I was very vulnerable, and the way he showed up for me endeared me to him greatly. So much so that I considered abandoning mantourage dating and just being with him. I started texting more and asking to see him often. In 1 week, we had 3 in-person hangouts with no date-like aspects, and I suggested we go away for a weekend and asked him to drive me home from the mechanic. During the last hangout, he didn't touch me, hardly looked me in the eye, and withdrew when I reached for him affectionately. I didn't say anything because I felt like he's upset and he should bring it up instead of acting upset so that I bring it up. After that, I pulled back, quit initiating text, and replied with less romance than I had been giving. He noticed this change and asked to talk about it. I mentioned his behavior as the reason I'd pull back, and at first he acted oblivious, then acknowledged that he knew I was really vulnerable and he couldn't meet my needs and attend to what he needed to do as well. He apologized. A few days later, he sent me a long message about being really busy, to which I responded with sweet things and that I looked forward to when the stars aligned for him to take me out again. Although I was hyper-focusing on him, I initiated less communication. Though I did text, I miss you once, and sent him a sappy love song. He didn't message for a few days and then sent a how was your week message. I waited 24 hours and said it was good and that I was looking forward to him taking me out. He said he was looking forward to a get together too. I didn't respond to that text. That was almost 2 weeks ago and I haven't heard from him and I might be heartbroken. Though I've still been hyper-focusing on him, I have been going on other dates, seeing friends, and doing things I love during these past 2 weeks. I feel better, but I really want to see this guy again and pick up where things were before I let it devolve into hangouts. How do I do this? Please help. And thank you. Okay, so Miss Can We Pick Up Where Things Left Off has one of the questions we asked, how long have you been single? And she's been single for 2 years. I had an 8-month relationship 2 years ago. And I've had several 3-month stints, but haven't been in a longer relationship in almost 10 years. Okay. With this said, let's get started and dive in to, first off, I'm very, very sorry to hear about the tragic event with your best friend. And I want to say, I think there's a lot of things that you're doing very, very well, especially, leaning into somebody when you have something tragic going on and asking for the things you need. It takes a brave woman. So many smart, successful, ambitious women shut down because they're the ones that usually help. They are the ones that are there for everybody else, and they have a really hard time asking for what they want in fear of being told no, or fear of looking weak, or there's lots of insecurities and fears that lay underneath the surface of that. Okay. So very proud of you for that. And, you've done this in a very textbook way for mantourage dating. There's a lot of things you've done very, very well here. So this is actually the part where I have to dive into, though, because you're doing it in a textbook way, and I see you've really taken the material here on Single Smart Female very seriously, and you've done some great things here. There's still, because it's so textbook, there's a piece that you're actually still transactionally dating versus mantourage dating. Now, what do I mean by this? Because this can be quite confusing. You're going through the motions properly. You're doing all the good things. But the piece you're missing is the understanding, the overall understanding of what's going on here. And sometimes that's really hard for successful women ambitious women to get and to hold on to. It's that there's this formula, they check all the boxes, and if everything doesn't work out right, then all of a sudden they feel defeated because they're not getting that there's a much bigger picture going on here. Walking through the steps, understanding the steps for you, being able to interact in those different ways it's extremely important, because as the majority of women don't know how to interact with men. The majority of women don't understand, how they're showing up is really kicking their ass in dating and love. But a bigger thing here is it's not just about the how-tos. It's not just about he did this, so I do this. He did this, so I say this. He responded this way, so I did this. And Jen, I'm doing everything that you said. Why is this not working? Well, because you're missing the mantourage dating piece. It's much more than dating one man at a time until you find your forever man. It's about understanding who you really are. And understanding at this point that this is really happening for you. If things are going awry with a guy, it means it's because he's not ready to be your man right now. And there's there most likely is a piece of you that's not ready for him. And something, the universe is conspiring and collaborating for things to happen. So I want you to take a couple steps back, and instead of interpreting this as some kind of failure, which we do as successful, ambitious women, I want you to understand that there's something much bigger here going on. And I'm not going to say that he definitely won't end up stepping up in the way, but for right now, there's a really good reason. I don't know exactly what the reason is, but I'm going to guess, and this is just my guess, is that there's other things that you need to explore in your love life before you dive into this committed relationship with him. Okay, so that's the next thing. We're always, as women, focused on what's going on with him versus what's actually going on with you. And I just, started to reference that and talk about that. Is as single, ambitious women, we have to stop focusing on what he thinks, what he wants, what this means for him, and start asking ourselves, what does his behavior actually mean for me? Well, if it's not happening for you, if things are not lining up, it's because there's something big going on for you. And if you're going to take the stance of always worrying about what's going on for him, you're going to feel crazy in dating and love all the damn time. It's a very disempowered position when you're always worrying about him. And see, as a society and as women, as empowered women, we're talking all the time about, how we're stepping up for ourselves and we're stepping up for our community and but the truth is, when it comes to men, we still obsess about them. And we do it incessantly. We're still, paying people to teach us what men think and what men want and what men need and blah. And we still don't really know who we are in romance and love. We think we do. Oh, I want this, 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 and this. And we're going to tick off all these boxes and then we're going to be genuinely happy for the rest of our lives. And it's fucking bullshit. And there's a part of us that knows that. So there's a part of us that constantly runs because we don't know what we're doing, but also because we don't know who we really are. We're constantly running interference on good things happening in our love lives. And what we're really failing to see is how much happier we become when we make this process about us. Now, it doesn't mean, when I say make this process about us, it doesn't mean that you're never considerate of a man. No, of course you are. Any great relationship has give and take. But what you have to learn at the beginning is it's not all about him. It's not all about his moods and what he's doing and how he's responding. A lot of times shit is happening because there's things inside of you that need to be addressed and things inside of you that need to be explored. It's not happening for a really good reason. And a lot of times it's the best thing that ever happens to you because there's also a really good chance that there's somebody else that needs to step in. And if this person that is there, it makes it, and you're hyper-focused on them, it makes it really, really challenging for the universe to say, hey, miss, can we pick up where things left off? Can you see him? He's everything you've ever really wanted and more. But we can't see him because we've got our goggles on, and he's the only one that'll work goggles, and we shut everything else out. So I want to make that statement again. We are happier as women when we reference what's going on with them as what does it mean for us, not trying to figure him out. That's a one-way street to crazy town when you only focus on what's going on in his head and what his behavior means about him. What does his behavior mean for you? And I can tell you right now, it's that you're not ready to stop mantourage dating yet. You're not ready to go into a committed relationship with him just yet. Okay? Even though I'm still very proud of you for asking for what you want, especially during a tragic event. We should always do that as women and keep practicing it, even if you get shut down. Keep asking because you'll keep getting handed more of what you want in life when you're willing to ask for things that you want and do it in an empowered, adored woman way, which we can talk about in just a minute. Now, next, let's talk about heartbroken versus feeling exposed. Okay, heartbroken to me is a very, very strong word. I understand that you were vulnerable with this man, and you're probably feeling too like, why the fuck did you're punishing yourself because why the fuck did I let this devolve into hangouts kind of thing. I totally fucked everything up according to Jen and her mantourage dating premise. And the truth is you didn't fuck everything up. Okay? This is still happening for you. The only thing you need to do is self-correct some more right now. I'm sorry. Self-correct's probably not the best phrase. It's just you need to tweak. It doesn't mean you should beat yourself up for anything that has happened. We got to quit doing that shit as women. We have to own the things that we can do better. We need to tweak the things that we can do better. But there is no purpose whatsoever in beating ourselves up, okay, for the things that we could do differently. When I work with clients, one of the first things I tell them is that you're going to learn things and you're going to want to beat yourself up for why things couldn't have been different in the past. But you wouldn't have learned all this had you not done it differently historically, okay? So there's no purpose in beating yourself up. The only thing we can do as women and truly to be in our power is to acknowledge how we are showing up in our love life and course correct. Course correct. That was actually the word I was looking for, not self-correct. Course correct. So heartbroken versus feeling exposed. Here's the thing. Smart, ambitious woman. Oh, when we are vulnerable for the first time and he pulls back for whatever reason. Again, there's lots of reasons he might have done it, but the only thing that really matters is what it means for you is when we feel exposed, then all of a sudden we start hyper-focusing more as if we've actually done something wrong. And you haven't. So heartbroken, again, very, very strong word. I know you don't feel good in all this. It feels probably icky and a little sad and things like that. But I'm thinking more acknowledging that exposure and just and saying, this is the way I did it. And for whatever reason, this is actually going to end up working out for me because I'm learning here and I'm going to learn how to tweak and I'm understanding that there's something bigger going on here. And it's very much probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Let me give you an example. Right before I started my mantourage dating experience that I put together and started studying men and everything else like that. There was a man. His name was John. John was the most exciting man I think I'd ever been around. And the sex was off the charts. Everything felt like it was in alignment. And then all of a sudden, I was a little vulnerable with him. And he had invited me to go meet his family for the first time. And then all of a sudden, he made some excuses. Everything changed. He started to disappear. I went obsession crazy. Absolutely obsession crazy. And I'm not saying that you're there by any means. I'm using a very the story's not exaggerated. It's actually true, but an exaggerated example. And it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. Why? Because it led me down a path to learn how to do things differently. And so many of my dreams have come true, from John first acting weird, first withdrawing, and then eventually, even through my obsession and things like that, he pulled the fuck back. And if he hadn't, I wouldn't have met my husband. Okay? So understanding that this is happening for you, big deal in the adored woman world. Okay. Next, how do you proceed? Again, you proceed by understanding that this is happening for you. You're not going to miss out on a man who is meant for you. All right? You're not going to miss out on a man that is meant for you, especially when you step into adored woman reality. Okay? What I mean by that, it means that, yes, it is easy to push men away, but once you step into this reality, adored woman reality, this different way of being in the world, and especially with men, then if he's meant for you, he'll circle back. If he doesn't, he wasn't meant for you. There's somebody better. An upgrade for you, okay? Now, bringing this all back together. A lot of us think mantourage dating is about the transactional dating part. He does this, I do this. He does this. No, it doesn't work that way. None of it works 100% of the time, which is why the only place that I do any free advice is here on the podcast. Let me explain that. If you ask me something on social media, I won't answer you. Why? Because what I really desire is to be able to go deep with women. And I do a portion of that here, but where I really do that is with my clients, because I have to look at, there are no absolutes in dating love. If you say this is absolutely going to happen. Again, if you buy into that notion, you're transactionally dating, and that means that you're focusing on what you need to do in reference to him for the entire rest of your life. And it's an exhausting way to live. It's not the adored woman way. Adored women do, yes, they understand men, the basics that they need to understand, okay? That's something that I teach. But more importantly, you learn to understand you. And I can guarantee you, because we don't acknowledge ourselves as women and how we evolve, you don't understand all pieces of you. And this is so important in your journey. And that's what mantourage dating is. It's about starting to uncover those pieces of you. You also need to address your emotions during this, because emotions, they run interference. They run havoc on things. It doesn't mean that you can stuff them. It doesn't mean that you should pretend that you don't have them, but you need to learn how to address them in a way that allows them to flow, that allows you to not walk around like just a big ball of nerves and anxiety. And it's not about faking things and pretending that you're always good, all that kind of stuff, but it is also about developing a more positive mindset, adored woman mindset around men. It's about learning how to interact differently with men. The information most women have been given about men is wrong, and it's hurting their love lives in many ways. It's about understanding your power in reference to men. The ongoing theme for years was that it was really better to be a man. Well, no, I'm here to tell you the most powerful gender to be, I love men, but the most powerful gender to be is a woman who understands what her power is, okay? And then it's about learning to step into the adored woman mindset and world permanently, which means You'll start enjoying your life as it unfolds, okay? Even when things look quote unquote awry. It's about uncovering the pieces of you and your desires that you've been hiding. Yes, that's what smart, ambitious women do. They hide pieces of themselves and desires in order to conform to a way that they've been taught that they need to show up to be a strong, ambitious, good, productive woman. And I'm here to help you uncover all those pieces. And most of all, it's as you do this, is seeing evidence and learning how to show up differently. And then bam, as you're going through your Mantourage dating experience, not only are you learning how to have, because this actually doubles as the most amazing relationship training, but then all of a sudden, bam, you have the love life that you dreamed of. And there's nothing to stop you anymore from actually having all of that and much more, because it doesn't just stop with your love life. As you learn all of these different skills, understand this mindset, step into this world, everything starts to open up for you. And then you are freed, especially from this idea, if I do this perfectly, then this will happen. If I do this, then this will happen. And you'll all of a sudden just know. You'll know how to react in reference to you and what's going on with him. You'll know what to do and how to handle a situation that comes up with any man, not just the men that you're interested in dating, but you'll also learn who you are, and you'll learn that we as women, we evolve. That's really important to understand. We evolve. And being able to embrace that evolution is going to be game-changing. With all of that said, how I do this and help clients with this and dive into it deeper, if that's something that you desire to do, is with Secret Society of Adored Women. But I recognize there's still not a lot of women who understand exactly how Mantourage dating as a lifestyle until you find your forever man or indefinitely, that they don't understand how the system works. So I've put together a short video that explains how the Mantourage dating lifestyle specifically works and how we do that inside of Secret Society, so that those are skill sets that you can learn. And if you want to watch that video, go to Jen, that's JENN, Burton, BURTON.com/Secret Society. And I will put that video there for you to consume and understand. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show. Mantourage dating is not about reacting perfectly to men all the time. It is, however, about understanding all the different pieces of life and love that dramatically influence your romantic outcomes. Hey, lover girl, thanks for joining me today and texting this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends. If you have a question that you'd like to submit for on-air consideration, or want to learn more about working with me, then meet me over at singlesmartfemale.com. See you there.